Hello, I'm David Rose, and here's a look at some of our top cases featured this weekend with Crime Stoppers for Washington's Most Wanted, starting with some surveillance video that Seattle police are really hoping will help solve the mystery of who shot and killed Daniel Rowe, who you see here, back on February 15th. Detectives have exhausted all leads, and they need to speak with the men who brought him to Harborview Medical Center that night. So take a look at this video to see if you recognize any of them. They pulled up to the hospital in two cars, a black 2015 four-door Mercedes and a white or silver four-door Nissan sedan with a dealer plate on the rear. Two men in the Mercedes pulled Daniel out of the back seat. I froze the video here out of respect for him and for his family. They took him over to the medical staff who brought him inside the hospital. Now take a look at their faces and see if you recognize them. There was also a third man seen on the video who detectives believe was in the Nissan. Well, after they handed the victim off to the Harborview ER team, all three men got back into the cars and then they drove off, but they didn't provide their names or any other information. Detectives say they're not suspects in the case, but they do believe they have important information about what happened to Daniel that night.
We really don't have a specific location of where the incident took place. The best evidence we have right now is what you're viewing, where these two vehicles showed up at Harborview and dropped the victim off. Every lead that we've been working on now tells us we got to go back and find these three individuals so we can talk to them and get their side of the story. We want to find out who killed your friend, and obviously it was her friend. And without your cooperation right now, we're just going on little details, but what you know and what you've heard or what you've seen could be critical in solving this case.
Detectives say the two men in the Mercedes are both black and in their early 20s. The driver has a heavy build and was wearing a white sweatsuit and red tennis shoes. The other man in the Mercedes was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt that has designs across the front. He has a thinner build. He was around 5'7" to 5'9", and he had long dreads. Detectives say the third man in the Nissan was wearing a black hooded jacket over a gray hooded sweatshirt and had on either gray pants or gray colored sweatpants. Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is offering a full $1,000 cash reward for any information that helps identify these men and solve the case. You will remain anonymous. Submit a tip through the P3 Tips app that you can download to your cell phone for free or call the hotline. It's 1-800-222-TIPS. So much mystery surrounds the case of this missing father from Bellingham. It's been more than a year since Richie Collins' vehicle was found at the Colonial Creek Campground. That's an hour east of Rockport off Highway 20. On April 30th, 2019, Whatcom County Sheriff's detectives say the 58-year-old's Honda Element had been parked there at the campground for weeks with the key to it sitting on the roof. But Richie was nowhere to be found. There have been many searches for Collins that have come up empty, including one last month at Diablo Lake, just below the campground. And it's not just Collins that detectives are hoping to find.
We found out that family said that Mr. Collins had a lot of firearms in his possession. He was in the Army. He worked for Customs and Border Patrol, and his firearms were nowhere to be found. And his safe was open as well, and no firearms inside the safe. We searched the residence, we searched crawl spaces, and didn't find the firearms. We just don't know where the guns are at this time and what would happen with that many guns. Family members said that he had upwards of at least 30 guns in his possession. So it's just odd that that many guns are missing and we haven't found them yet.
Well, this photo shows the numerous gun cases that Collins had inside his home that were found empty after he vanished. Detectives and Collins' family, especially his daughter, is still holding out hope that he will be found safe, especially with some help from those who know him.
The big thing is that if any of his friends are watching or listening to the program, is reach out with any tidbit of information they can. Even if it's, did he have a storage unit in Whatcom County? Did he have a storage unit somewhere in Skagit County, which is the nearby county to us? Or if they even had a phone call or text in, April or March of 2019. I think it's very important.
Whatcom County Sheriff's detectives want to make it really clear that none of the circumstances surrounding Collins' disappearance are a crime at this point. An adult like Collins can leave and start a new life somewhere. They just want to know that both he and his firearms are safe. If you know anything at all that can help sheriff's detectives confirm that, find him or any other information, no matter how small, please submit a tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound through the P3 Tips app or at 1-800-222-TIPS if you want to be anonymous. If you can help, contact the Sheriff's Department directly. The city of Enumclaw prides itself on being a close-knit community. So when a criminal comes in and steals from one of their valued businesses, it's upsetting to all. So tonight, police are asking for your help to identify this thief. He walked into a fenced area of the Gateway True Value store in the middle of broad daylight on Wednesday, July 8th. And then he stole a boxed Traeger grill worth about $1,200.
It was right here. We've moved stuff since, but it was here. And he lifted it up and set it down right here.
Mark Warren says they used to leave the gate open for the convenience of customers to load up heavier items, but not after this guy stole their barbecue and their sense of trust.
Fortunately, we weren't watching cameras at the moment. He slid it over on the bricks here as he then proceeded to go out, get into his van, pull his van in here. He must have known there was cameras because he didn't have plates on the front of his van facing the camera. Loaded up in the back of his van and took off.
Enumclaw police say he drove westbound towards Auburn. Commander Tim Floyd is hoping somebody recognizes his vehicle.
The minivan does have a little scuff mark on the front bumper, did not have a front license plate. The view of the rear license plate that we were able to get from surveillance, we couldn't get the license plate number. It may have a bumper sticker on the back, although we couldn't tell what that said either.
While it was a crime of opportunity, a theft like this has an impact on people's sense of security.
But what concerns me the most is that this becomes a more commonplace in today's society, where people just think they can go in and take whatever they want and not suffer any consequences for their actions.
He says the suspect appears to be in his 30s.
We would love to have him caught.
Warren knows that theft will always be an issue in retail, but they never expected someone to come in and steal a boxed Traeger grill weighing a couple hundred pounds.
We're a individually owned and operated business where we have no corporate. We are on our own, so losing a big ticket item like this, it hurts.
All right, here's one more look at that suspect and his minivan. If you can identify him or tell officers where to locate him or that minivan, Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound will give you a cash reward of up to $1,000. Maybe he's having you over for something on his grill. Submit that tip through the P3 Tips app or call 1-800-222-TIPS and let's show this criminal there's nowhere left to hide. Well, a man on a motorbike accused of trying to torch his way into an ATM in Yelp in April, causing damage that cost close to $17,000 to fix, has been identified and arrested. Thurston County prosecutors have charged 44-year-old Gabriel Mitchell with first-degree malicious mischief, second-degree arson, and first-degree attempted theft. This was a crazy crime we featured back in April to help try and get this suspect identified.
Gabriel Mitchell decided to use a motorcycle and ride it over to the Twin Star Credit Union here in Yelm. He was prepared with a drill where he drilled a hole into the ATM machine. He used a acetylene torch to try to force gas and fire into the machine to get it to explode. He determined that after a few minutes of trying to do that, that the machine had changed and that they had a security system inside of it that was able to put the fire out before he could get anything started. So the flame that you see in the video is the flame being dispersed from the machine itself.
Well, detectives say numerous tips came in to Crime Stoppers after the show, many identifying the motorcycle as a Buell brand bike, other tips about the uniform that he was wearing. But it was an anonymous tip called into the Thurston County Sheriff's Office that identified him, who detectives say came clean right before his arrest in May.
During our discussion, I had given him the information that I had obtained in reference to the motorcycle. The uniform that I knew that he was wearing was not accurate, and that he had obtained it through a friend. And so during our conversation, he made the comment that, I don't know how you knew it was me. I was wearing a wig and a pair of gloves. I advised him that because of the motorcycle and the outfit that he was wearing and the information I had received, I knew it was him that had committed the crime. He got very emotional in talking about it. He says he has 4 boys that he's trying to raise. It's very difficult for him to obtain a job because he is a convicted felon, and that he really felt that he had no other option.
According to the court documents, he wore that wig and gloves because he wanted people to think he was a black suspect, and he was surprised that he got identified. Detective DeVore said Mitchell also told him he'd seen our story on Washington's Most Wanted. Thurston County prosecutors filed the charges against Mitchell last week. He's out of jail right now on personal recognizance since his arrest in May. Well, that's a preview of this weekend's Washington's Most Wanted. To join me for the full show, I'll see you tonight at 11 o'clock on Q13 Fox, and Saturday night at 9:30 on Joe TV, 10:30 on Q13 Fox, and 10:30 on Fox stations in Spokane, Yakima, and the Tri-Cities. Let's make sure these criminals have nowhere left to hide.